What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Culture 316 show. My name is Jordan Nahisi.
Joined by your co-host, Mo. What is up, people?
Thank y'all so much. I know it has been a very weird couple of weeks. Life has been lifing on both of our ends, but we are back and we are in full effect. Thank you guys so much for people who are checking up on us. Thank you guys to everyone who has still been listening via YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, be sure to give this show a 5 stars and subscribe to the show. If you're watching on YouTube, or Facebook or wherever, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This is how the show becomes more popular. Also, AEW Revolution this Sunday, there may, keyword may, be a space. We're not sure yet, but we're going to keep you guys posted on it. However, there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, we missed a couple weeks of talking wrestling, so let's get right into it. So
also,
first,
shout out to everyone that joined me at 5 a.m. my time to sit there and watch Elimination Chamber. I really did appreciate that because I expected like 2 or 3 of you guys to come in, but we had like a full house.
Yeah, it was like 15. I woke up to the space being full, and I was just like, oh, all right.
And y'all didn't want to leave. That's the crazy part. Some of y'all start at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. Y'all actually was trying to kick it to like 7, 8 a.m. I was like, wow, that was crazy. But thank you so much for joining in. Just had to throw that out there.
Had to throw that out there. And I mean, this is a perfect segue because we were talking. That space was for WWE's Elimination Chamber 2024 live from Perth, Australia. And I just kind of wanted to get some of your thoughts on the show, some of your takeaways. How did you feel about Elimination Chamber, especially since this is essentially the last big PLE before WrestleMania?
Me personally, I thought for a pay-per-view that had no major stars on it outside of like people like Bianca or Becky Lynch, and some people that are on the rise to being like major stars, I thought it was actually a really good pay-per-view. I think I asked y'all on the space about it, and you guys are trying to say 6 and 7. I was actually thinking like a solid 8 for what it was, just because I liked the amount of matches they had. The pacing was fun. None of the matches were actually dull to me. I thoroughly enjoyed both chambers, although I still think that the men did better than the women. And my main criticism as to why, okay, the women's chamber went off. I just want to congratulate everyone that was in there. Like, y'all did your thing. But I had a huge disagreement with how soon y'all got rid of Naomi and how she got eliminated. That did not sit well in my spirit, especially during Black History Month. Because I watched the footage about 5 times. Her shoulders were completely up when Tiffany was pinning her. Like completely up, and then Naomi sat up like she was confused too. I'm like, bitch, what? So my theory for that is that they knew that Naomi is super athletic, and yeah, she's like a showstopper. You know what I mean? She pulled out a little stripper split from the top of the cage and then just bust down on whoever it was. What was it? I don't know, Becky Lynch or someone. She just came down, did like a stripper split or whatnot. And I just feel like with how impressive she was and how it's so fresh that she came back, this is her second pay-per-view back, I feel like they were trying to put more focus on Tiffany. And they just wanted her to have a full stage of just like, all right, let's show off what Tiffany could do and let's get her backing. And she's growing a pretty good fan base. Honestly, she's very impressive. I thought everyone showed out. It was obviously predictable. That's probably the only other criticism I could think of, that the whole pay-per-view was predictable, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it was actually good. The men's was great. It was fun. My favorite thing about watching the men's was watching all the feuds in between work out one another. I really enjoyed seeing Logan Paul. I know a lot of people hate him, but I'm always giving him his flowers for being a heel, bro. He is so funny. He really sat there and took the time to write Kevin Owens sucks, and then he drew a picture kind of like how
a stick figure.
He drew him the same way that SpongeBob drew Mrs. Puff when he was in driving school. And that's what made me cackle. And he wrote it backwards, for the camera. Like, he just sat there and took his time writing Kevin Owens sucks backwards for the camera. That had me dying. But phenomenal heel work. Kevin Owens just beat his daylights out. There was a point where I think even LA Knight and Kevin Owens was banging at his head. Like, he was banging him against the freaking pod, and then Kevin was punching the pod while he's banging him. Like, it's so funny. Just in general, the men was just fun. It was upbeat. I didn't expect the interference from AJ Styles. Is that common to have the cage door be open and someone to come in?
So, I mean, I think it's happened in a couple of Elimination Chambers before. But I think it was a nice touch. I'm gonna let you finish though, because I have a whole feel on that. So
okay, yeah, no, just because I was a little bit confused. I'm just like, what's the point of having a cage if someone could just walk right in there? But I wasn't mad about it because I was just like, okay, like, you want to still keep everyone strong because someone has to get pinned. Like, you can't move around that. Someone has to take the pin, and if you're gonna make LA Knight look stupid, you know, like, and you want to protect him, yeah, you're gonna have to have some form of interference. So I wasn't mad about it. I thought it was good. Hell, even the main event, I was surprised that they went with Rhea and Nia Jax, but
it makes sense.
But I understand from a booking point of view, just because if you go by like what stars she had left over, like, Rhea is your biggest star. I mean, she like they've been promoting the hell out of her. I mean, hell, the girl got like a 90 something overall for the 2K game. Like, they pushing this girl to the moon. So I thought it was interesting that they chose that over just choosing, you know, the stipulation pay-per-view to close it out. I feel like if you end it with the men, it would have been on a super high note. But I had to give the girls their flowers because Nia Jax, even though I can't like stand her as a person sometimes because she's stupid to me, I want to say she actually improved a lot. She improved a lot. I think she's actually entertaining. Not that she really was never entertaining to me. It's just that she was just so terrible in the ring. I forgot that she's interesting on the mic sometimes with her attitude. But she actually improved in the ring well enough. She lost weight. She looks great. And I was impressed with what her and Rhea pulled off. Obviously, it was predictable that Rhea was going to go over. But overall, the pay-per-view was cool. It was cool. It was cute.
You're on mute.
Ooh, there it is. I'm over here playing with this button like a child. The pay-per-view was cute. It was enjoyable. I would definitely rewatch the cage matches again. So for me, I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10. For what it was with no stars, that's pretty impressive, and it goes to show you how well Hunter has invested in the rest of the division to where it can survive without major stars. I'm gonna pass over to you, Jordan. What did you think about Elimination Chamber?
I agree with you. This show is a major bright spot in WWE. The fact that they were able to do this show without The Rock, able to do this show without Roman Reigns, I think shows a lot about the depth of that talent roster. And I also feel like it was a great choice for them to focus on Tiffany Stratton. I feel like even though obviously we love Naomi, we love a lot of the participants in that chamber match, I feel like if you introduce a new superstar, you have to make us care and you have to make us show their value. Now, anybody who's watched NXT in the past year knows that Tiffany be putting on some bangers. And I feel like when you get to the main roster, it's a totally different world. You can't just assume that everybody knows your resume and that everybody knows what you did. So you may have to introduce the new people and you have to remind the old fans. And I think that Tiffany was able to do that. Because of Tiffany's performance, it wouldn't be unreasonable to see her compete for a title somewhere within the next 3 to 6 months. And I think that that was the point, to put her over and to show her that she is a star, that she can hang with the best, and that she is someone who can main event a show and compete for a championship. Moving on to the men's chamber, I think the men's chamber was really, really good. The fact that AJ Styles broke into that elimination chamber, I think shows that Hunter is bringing back something that I think the WWE lost for quite a bit, which was making feuds out of things that are tied to world titles, right? I feel like there was nothing better than seeing a feud that started and you screwed me out of this championship. You screwed me out of this title shot. And I feel like you saw a lot of things like that in this cage, whether it was Logan and Randy or AJ and LA Knight. You see a lot of potential WrestleMania matches that are rooted in the fact that one cost the other a chance at a title shot. Not only does it give the story meaning, but it also, I'm trying to find the words. Not only does it give the story meaning and makes matches make sense, I feel like it gives kind of the world title or the WWE title more value, because the fact that people are fighting over being costed that championship opportunity shows how valuable that championship is. And then now, last but not least, and I know that there was more to the show, but these are the things that stood out. Wait, before I even go any further, shout outs to Indy Hartwell, because she's from Australia, and the fact that she was able to be on the kickoff show for the WWE Women's titles, for the WWE's Women's Tag titles, I think was a very big deal. So shout out to Indy.
And shout out to Bronson, because he couldn't be there.
He couldn't be there because of, I think that he has a newborn. So shout outs to him. But Rhea versus Nia, I think, was the only suitable main event. Considering that Rhea was the hometown girl, considering that she's an Australia native, considering that she is arguably the biggest Australian star not even arguably, the biggest Australian star in WWE. You don't close with anything but that. So to see kind of her do her thing, she came out, she had the Australia flag on the back of her jacket. It shows how much of a star she is. And the fact that now in 2024 in women's wrestling, a women's wrestling championship match can main event a show like that, and it makes sense, shows how far women's wrestling has come. And I think it was just a nice, great touch. I also thought it was really, really sweet, because I think once the camera stopped rolling, she got emotional in the ring, because this is like her dream. Like, you're in your home country main eventing a WWE Women's World Title match against Nia Jax. And I do agree with you. Nia Jax is super entertaining. I actually think that outside of Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, she's the MVP of the women's division, because she has been able to do good work. She's been able to give young talent a push. She's been able to step in and provide feuds outside of the title picture that are valuable. And I think that is super important when you're talking about the depth of a women's division. So overall, I actually give this an 8.5 out of 10. I think this is a really, really good way to kind of set the tone that we are right by WrestleMania. And yeah, I was very, very pleased with the show. But we want to know how you guys feel about Elimination Chamber. Let us know in the comments below, but we are moving on. So, speaking of WWE, it was a big, big, big week for some former WWE stars. The man formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, his name is Nick Nemeth, became the IWGP Global Champion. Mustafa Ali becomes TNA's X Division Champion. And Matt Riddle became the New Japan Pro Wrestling World Television Champion. I just wanted to know how you felt about these former WWE talents in their new promotions finding success.
I find it kind of cool that they're wasting no time turning them into major stars, and I like it. I mean, it's cool, yes, to have like a build up for these people, but it's just like, I feel like when they were in their when they were in the WWE, I mean, Matt Riddle did see gold. I don't remember seeing Dolph Ziggler with a world title. I've seen him with a tag team title. I don't remember him with a world title. It's just very pleasing to see some people like him and Mustafa Ali, of course, get it right away, because it's like, time is of the essence. Yeah. They had put in the workload while they were in the E. Obviously, they didn't see enough value in them. So it was very nice to see that other promotions are taking their careers seriously. And they're like the right guys between, of course, Mustafa Ali and formerly Dolph Ziggler. Saying Nick Nemeth is just, I had to get used to it, y'all.
Yeah, same.
But, it rolls off the tongue weird, like Nick Nemeth. I don't know why. It just comes out nasty. He needs to do something about that. But anyways, no, it's awesome to see them have the belts, because I feel like they're guys that put on 5-star classics, and I personally feel like they're just naturally going to build the division around them. Kind of similar to how they gave Naomi gold pretty fast, and she helped that whole entire division, and she walked out, she made a statement. So that's pretty awesome to me. Now, Matt Riddle, I always appreciated him as a talent, as a human being. Yeah, questionable. But the man is super duper talented. I'm not sure if Japan is aware of what he does, or they just simply don't care. Because like, I don't think Japan really cares too much about PR as much. Like, I don't feel like I really see conversations or what goes on over there. But then again, I'm not steadily on their news. It's just I'm a little bit surprised because it wasn't just too long ago that he had his allegations during the pandemic, and then we found out some other things about how he acts, out of character when he's not on TV. I think I even saw something. I was scrolling on the feed while he was inserting this topic. I saw something where apparently WWE busted him doing. I can't even say. I can't say the drug of choice on YouTube, but whatever. The drug of choice. Y'all could go ahead and go on Twitter. They busted him at a strip club doing that. I'm just very surprised that they snatched him up and they wanted to put a belt on him. So that's interesting to me. But if I have to comment on Matt Riddle as like a talent, he's great. I loved all his work at NXT. You just knew that he was just going to stand out and be that guy, be likable to the audience. So it's like, all right, don't really like the guy, but is he money wherever he goes? Yeah. He's going to sell merch over there. He's going to be well liked over there. And that's just something I got to come to terms with. But congratulations to everybody else. They deserve it. Matt Riddle, but the rest, they deserve it. They deserve it. I'm thoroughly happy for them. But what do you think about it? Any opinions or thoughts?
So I'm really, really glad that, like you said, they're wasting no time with putting these talents where they belong. And regardless of where they stand as far as their character, whatever the case may be, I guess more so specifically talking about Matt Riddle, these are guys that are main event talents, right? Like Matt Riddle has the tools to be a top guy. Nick Nemeth has the tools to be a top guy. Nick actually was a world heavyweight champion. He was, after WrestleMania 29, he had one of the most memorable cash-ins on Alberto Del Rio. That name is a blast from the past. But the story that I'm the most interested in is really Mustafa Ali. This is someone who we have championed on the show because of his character. He stands 10 toes down on what he believes in. He's never wavered, and he's also been a great talent. He's put on some great matches, especially when he was a part of the Cruiserweight Classic, especially when he was heavily featured in the Cruiserweight division. This was somebody that I think we all felt like could have been showcased a little bit differently in WWE. So to see him with a championship like the X Division Championship, which has been held by the likes of Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, I think that it was just really, really good to see kind of him get his shine. I think he's going to do great in TNA. I feel like he already has a great campaign, a great kind of gimmick with the "In Ali We Trust" type of thing. In fact, funny part was as they were building up to his X Division title match in TNA, they kept saying that the X Division title matches were sponsored by Mustafa Ali, which is, I thought, a very, very interesting way of giving him a presence on the product without necessarily featuring him, but successfully also incorporating his gimmick into the product. I think it was absolutely genius. So I'm really, really happy for Nick for being the global champion. I'm really, really happy for Mustafa. I'm really, really happy for Matt. I mean, I don't think it's a matter with Matt about PR. I think that the things that, obviously he has had his allegations against him, and that set aside, I feel like outside of WWE, there aren't a lot of companies that have a strict wellness policy the way that WWE has. And thus, because of that, a guy like a Matt Riddle probably isn't going to get in as much trouble in a New Japan Pro Wrestling as he would in the WWE, because he has the freedom and the flexibility to do more than he did in WWE outside of his work. So I think that that's the whole case with Matt Riddle. So yeah, that was pretty much that. But we want to know how you feel about these former WWE stars getting success out of WWE. Let us know in the comments below. But we are moving on. So speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling, one of its top stars, one of the founding fathers of New Japan's Bullet Club, Tama Tonga, is not only finished with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but it is rumored that he is on his way to WWE. Tama Tonga was one half of the Gorillas of Destiny, one of the best tag teams in the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling. They have had multiple IWGP World Tag Team title reigns. He's on his way to WWE. I want to know, how do you feel about this move, and where do you think he would fit best? Would he be a main roster guy? Would it be an NXT guy?
Okay, I had to actually like look into him because, guys, I didn't watch New Japan closely. I heard of his name. I had to just make sure like the face matched up, and I'm like, oh, okay. As soon as I saw Samoan, I'm like, oh, they definitely gonna expedite him to the Bloodline. Soon as I saw a Samoan there, and then it made me think to myself, are we gonna keep extending this Bloodline thing for a long time, or are we gonna start doing things with like people like Solo Sokoa and I almost forgot the extra Samoans. There's so many of them. Jesus Christ, bruh. They
The
have
extra Samoan is crazy.
nah. Their family line tree is crazy. I can't get over the fact that like The Rock turned around and showed us a whole periodic table of freaking Samoans, bro. But that being said, I feel like every time I see a Samoan, they gotta either put them next to the Usos or put them next to Roman some way, shape, or form. But I could see him being in NXT just because like the vibes over there, he would fit.
Mm-hmm.
Like from what I'm looking at, from like the way he wrestles off of these clips that I'm scrolling through, like he would fit like a glove, and he'd be pretty like I think he would make a pretty cool transition when they sent like the major guys up there, like we got Trick Williams sent up, we got like Braun Breaker sent up, all that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to like make your next like Mount Rushmore for this wave of NXT stars, I feel like you could definitely put him in there, and he's someone that could hold the world title, or if you want to make him work up, I don't see why you would give him the North American title. I feel like you could just go ahead and expedite him into like a main event feud for the world title. Let him carry that out, have some classics for a year, work with the newer guys. I mean, he's at a good age to where
Mm-hmm.
he could do both and he could chill and do both. But I feel like with his value and he's coming from New Japan, does he actually want that pay cut of being in NXT when he could just go straight to the main roster and be doing big money move things? So yeah, that's what I personally see. I would like for me on a personal level, I would say NXT, but I could totally see Triple H just snatching him up and throwing him onto like the main roster and just having something to do with the Bloodline. Or is that a Vinceism?
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing I would say. I feel like the way that the WWE product is right now, I think that it's going to be a very, very hard choice between the main roster and NXT because there are things that are happening in NXT that he can be involved in, right? We see the Good Brothers in NXT now, which we're going to talk about momentarily. He could stand alongside them, you know what I mean? And they can kind of be another OC or whatever the case may be. So you have that option. Obviously, you can go to the main roster. And obviously the bloodline is there and he could be a part of that situation. So that's another option for him. But he's one of those guys that is so versatile. This guy's not only been a well-decorated tag team champion, but he has also been a really good singles wrestler. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how he's integrated into the product. Nevertheless, I'm very, very excited for him. I'm very, very excited for him, and I'm eager to see what they do because Tama is one of those guys that was on the outside of WWE for a long time, and a lot of people felt like he could fit into the product, whether it was through way of Balor Club or through way of Bloodline. And now we're going to see that come to pass. It's going to be very, very interesting to kind of see how he's integrated. But let us know how you feel. Tama Tonga heading to WWE. But speaking of NXT, there have been some shakeups happening in NXT over these past couple of weeks. We have Shawn Spears returning to WWE after a series of mysterious vignettes. Then we also have the Good Brothers coming to NXT after their falling out with AJ Styles, obviously via storyline on SmackDown. They have made their way to NXT and they've made their intentions clear that they are coming after the NXT World Tag Team Championships. How do you feel? And then also, there's other things happening. Obviously, we have Trick and Mello about to go at it. I won't spoil it. Mello and Ilya Dragunov are about to go at it, and I feel like that's going to lead to Trick and Mello. And then we also have the son of William Regal, Charlie Dempsey, is the new NXT Heritage Cup champion. So there's a lot happening in NXT. I just kind of want to know your opinion on the product right now. And is NXT the must-see wrestling TV product again?
Yeah, I'm gonna answer those questions in reverse. Yeah, no, I totally think that NXT is must watch. For me personally, out of watching all three programs, I love watching NXT. It's starting to give me like the same excitement back during 1.0, and it's been pretty good honestly for the last like couple years. I think like out of like all the pay-per-views for WWE, I thoroughly actually enjoy watching NXT the most. It's just it's fun. It reminds me of like the wrestling style now is more seriously taken, kind of like 1.0, but like they are prepping them for the main roster, and it's making sense now when they transition upwards. People are still maintaining themselves. They still kind of hold that same level of importance, you know. So it's not like their work is just diminished as soon as they get to the main roster, thanks to Papa H. But they have so many great talents. I think personally, like their women's division is the best.
Yeah.
Like out of watching all the divisions, even like AEW, I thoroughly enjoy watching the women's division over there the best. I love the diversity over there. I like just how they really bring out everyone's strong suits, and they make it doesn't feel like that NXT is a developmental to me when I watch them over there, because they go out of their way, by the way, to like choose specific talents, and I love watching their growth. And for some reason, as opposed to this wave compared to like the last wave of people they selected, it feels like this wave of people, this crop, they like put their heart and soul into it, and I sit there and watch like their changes and improvement in the ring and stuff like that, their character work. Like I don't know what they're doing differently back there. I don't know if it has to do with something that Shawn Michaels is doing. I'm not sure if they had different trainers, different people prepping them as characters, but everything just is like smooth like water over there in NXT. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Now, what was the original question? Like the most original question to it?
Just how do you feel about the product overall? How did you feel? I think you answered it though.
Nah, I actually had another thing I wanted to comment on. The fact that they're returning kind of reflects on how AEW is kind of, I don't want to say AEW is a flop, but everyone went over there thinking like it's the promised land. Like, oh, you know, I got done dirty over here in the E, and it looks like so far other stars that are going over there, like they get to, you know, live that life and have that career they always wanted. And it feels like some people went over there and they're just as unfulfilled, and they're coming back because I mean, business in the E is doing extremely well. Like the amount of stars they acquired in 365 days is crazy. We should have made a list. We definitely should have made a list for that. But like the fact that people are coming back after like talking badly about WWE goes to show you that a lot of work has been, you know,
done. Yeah.
By Hunter, you know, and it's been pretty fast. I want to go ahead and say that it's been overnight, but I know last year we was ragging on the E. It feels like this year everything's been kind of tightened up, and it's like, all right, since AEW is booming and now everyone can get over to Japan, it's like, what else am I going to do in my career? Dip down and go to the indies? Been there, done that. I want to be a star. I want to feel like a star, and like it looks like the vibes are over there. So I'm gonna have to suck it up and just come back. So, I mean, congratulations to them. I won't even go ahead and be like, oh, they're sellouts, because it's like a job's a job at the end of the day. And, you know, WWE is always going to feel like a promised land. I'm sorry. It's like the biggest company in the whole wide world. Like deep down inside, no matter how badly you're treated, you always want to be, the reason why you're a wrestler is that you want to be a WWE star. Let's be honest. You want the lights, you want the camera, you want the attention, you want to be on a video game one day. I get it, guys. Honestly, congratulations to them for coming back.
So, in my opinion, NXT just feels cool again. It feels cool. It doesn't feel like it used to when it was like 2018, 2017, but it doesn't need to feel like that anymore, because I feel like they've kind of created a new energy and a new face and a new kind of vibe that complements what they're doing now. Obviously, Hunter has kind of made it very, very clear that he's not looking for indie wrestlers. He's not looking for the most polished people. He's looking for stars. And I think that we see that. We're seeing a good mix of people who used to wrestle in other companies as well as homegrown talent, and they're creating their NXT. It doesn't feel like a WWE indie anymore. And so I think that the product that they've been able to put on screen is just really, really cool. Shawn Spears coming back was not in my bingo card for 2024. I knew that he had left AEW. I didn't know what was next. I knew that, you know, he just had a kid not too long ago. Shout outs to him. But I had no idea that he was going to come back as Shawn Spears. And I think that was a great move. The Good Brothers appearing in NXT just continues to deepen their tag team division. It gives them something to do, right? Because they were kind of in this weird middle ground on the main roster where, like, we didn't know if they were with AJ, we didn't know if they weren't. And then it just kind of, that slap that AJ made to Anderson, I think kind of put him in the mindset of like, all right, we're out for blood, we're going to NXT. So I think it gives their tag team division a little bit more depth, gives the younger guys down there someone to go up against, it gives them something to do. Also, we have Charlie Dempsey, him winning the Heritage Cup. I think it's just really, really special that William Regal is there to see his son win his first WWE title. I think that's really, really awesome. And then on top of that, what we're about to experience with Trick and Mello, I think is going to be next level. Just like stand and deliver. I can see Trick and Mello happening in some form of like street fight. I love how they gave us a FUBU DIY feud. That's a different story for a different day, but I love how they created a BET Plus version of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, but just better because it's Trick and Mello.
Yes.
But I really, really love what NXT is doing. Also, I love that Jada Parker just went viral. I think it just, like, I feel like wrestling has these moments where someone that we like gets really, really popping, and then we all, as Black wrestling fans, just become really, really proud. And I feel like Jada Parker going viral, obviously, you know, respectfully, I'm an engaged man. She is a beautiful woman, right? Right? She's a beautiful woman. And I feel like that was one of the reasons why she went viral, in addition to her in-ring talent and, you know, her ability. However, I feel like Jada Parker going viral was just like another thing happening in the world of wrestling that's just making wrestling cool again, right? Between that and then The Rock and Roman and Cody at the press conference. And like, I feel like wrestling is becoming cool again because we're seeing new stars break out. We're seeing old stars come back, and it's just generating this really, really interesting era. So I think that the NXT product as a whole, I think NXT is cool again. I think NXT has a new vibe, and it's tough. I really, really like it. But we want to know how you guys feel about this new NXT. Let us know in the comments below. But we're moving on because according to SE Scoops, AEW Dynamite is set to debut a new stage and a new logo on March 6th. This is just a report. I just wanted to know how did you feel about this? Does it make the product better? Does it make it worse? Like, what's going on? How do you feel about this?
I mean, right now they're pulling straws just because they're not. But I just heard. I'm thinking about AEW for TNA.
AEW. This is AEW Dynamite.
I've read. You have TNA right underneath.
I'm weak.
So
yeah, that's my bad.
So I have no glasses on, yeah. But honestly, AEW is pulling straws right now. With all that's going on with them, and I kind of don't blame them for distracting you with a rebrand because what else do you do after these slew of allegations, losing your biggest star, the numbers not going well? You need a distraction, you know, distraction. Rebrand, try something new, make you guys forget.
Right.
It's kind of funny, but I also look at it as partially maybe a Sasha Banks thing, just because now you have a major star here. I think she's like your only really big major star you got over there. You gotta like up the production. You gotta make this like feel like it's fit for a star. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we're gonna watch the show change and orbit around her as she begins to show up. That's just my personal opinion. Like, I just feel like she's not about to be somewhere that's like rinky dinky. Like, I know Tony Khan got the money, but it is a little rinky dinky over there. And I feel like, all right, last time they did a rebrand, people were complaining that, okay, you try to look like WWE. Do you think that that's what they're going to try to do? They're going to try to make it feel like higher production like WWE, or they're going to try to go the opposite?
I think they're gonna. I'll always try to go higher. I mean, like, I feel like when I feel like when you're not just competing with another wrestling company, but when you're competing with all of media and entertainment, you're always going to look to do better. You're always going to look to do bigger. And I feel like a rebrand. I don't think that a rebrand is necessarily necessary. However, if you do want to accommodate certain stars, it makes sense. That's
Yeah.
if this report is true. I think I agree with you. I feel like it's one of those you kind of have to make this thing fit for a star. And, I actually really, really like the set that they have now, which is the reason why I'm a little bit like flabbergasted, because it's like what they have now is so unique and it's so cool and it's so big and it's like it works for them.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they're changing, but
They need a distraction. I keep telling you.
right. I mean, yeah. I mean, like you said, I don't think that a rebrand solves the AEW problem. I don't think a new set is going to bring you bigger ratings. I think it's just bigger stars and better stories.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, it's just bigger stars and better stories. And, we'll see what happens. I really, really hope that Mercedes makes a very, very big impact. I think she will. But I think ultimately it boils down to that. WWE has had sets for years, but their ratings have dropped, and now we're seeing, ratings go up. And we can tie it directly into the quality of the stories and the quality of the stars that are tied to the product. So, we'll see what happens. I just don't think that an AEW rebrand solves the AEW problem. And I think that
Sorry.
that problem is heavily tied to not having enough stars. So, but we'll see. Let us know in the comments below how you feel about a potential AEW rebrand. Does it make the product more watchable? Does it not move the needle for you? Let us know in the comments below. But we're moving on. So, speaking of wrestling in Florida, it looks like TNA Wrestling is looking for a new home, and it seems as if they are interested in moving their tapings to Full Sail University. Now, we all know Full Sail as the former home of WWE NXT when it was in its 1.0 phase. So I wanted to know, how do you feel about TNA Wrestling potentially moving to Full Sail?
For them, that's still progress. And I love the Full Sail crowd. Like, I know we always talk about New York or Chicago or this town, but Full Sail, I love the energy Full Sail brought to the ring because they were like true wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when it came to Full Sail, I love the fact that like they were very patient with whatever wrestler was coming out and debuting over there. I just feel like they just have a different appreciation just for like the art of wrestling. So I feel like it's still progress for TNA, but it's interesting, because I feel like TNA sometimes like dabbles with a little bit of like New Japan. They dabble a little bit with AEW. They dabble a little bit with WWE, and it's just like it's like this their way of just moving up the ranks by slowly acquiring like their scraps and making it work until they could get up there again.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it as a progressive move for them. What do you think?
I think it's great. For those not aware, TNA Wrestling has been a big aficionado of studio taping wrestling. And we can go back to the Asylum in Nashville. But most notably, their biggest era was in the Impact Zone, which took place at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. So in a way, this kind of serves as a homecoming for them because they are coming back to Florida. They're coming back to Orlando to do some studio taping wrestling. And you're right. Like the NXT crowd, the crowd down there has a deep appreciation for wrestling. I remember anytime we saw somebody debuting, the pop that they would get. I mean, the one time James Storm showed up, his pop. Leo Rush when he debuted, his pop. Samoa Joe when he made his debut, his pop. So this is a very in the know crowd. They're a very smart crowd and a very, very passionate crowd. And I think that it's going to do wonders for TNA Wrestling. I think it's going to be a great move. And I also feel like a big part of their future expansion is just going to be their ability to kind of just have a consistent crowd and to be able to get to the things that were able to acquire them big talents back in their heyday. One of those things that were able to attract WWE talent was you had a shorter schedule, right? And so with that short schedule, that usually is rooted in the fact that you're having tapings in one place. You're doing 4 to 5 tapings in 1 week as opposed to just flying here and flying there. So like the fact that you have a central location in Orlando, in Florida, where a lot of wrestlers live, and you could just knock out 3 to 4 tapings in a couple days, I think is going to be a very, very big green flag for a lot of wrestlers and a lot of other companies who may want to sign with somebody else. That central location, that hub, and that ability to work a more relaxed schedule, I think is going to be working in TNA's favor. But I think it's going to be great for them. This is, like you said, a very progressive mood, and I'm super excited to see where they go next. But we want to know where you feel. The Impact Zone is coming to Full Sail University. Let us know in the comments below of how you feel about that, if it is true. But we're moving on because this Sunday, AEW Revolution coming live from Greensboro, North Carolina, March 3rd, and it's headlined by its final Sting in-ring wrestling match. And we'll talk about that and give all of our predictions. But we're going to start from the bottom of the card, which is the FTR versus Blackpool Combat Club match. That's Dax and Cash versus Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. Who do we have for this match?
Not the nigga with a court date?
Yo.
What do you think?
I'm gonna have to agree. Next match. I'm gonna have to agree with that. So the next match is actually interesting part about this match. This match was supposed to be labeled as Meat Madness.
Pause. What? I'm reading
the match was supposed to be Meat Madness. And apparently, and this is coming from Tony Khan tweeted this yesterday, February 28th, with multiple wrestlers slated for AEW Revolution's Meat Madness match out injured and shelved by AEW docs. I'm temporarily freezing the bout until they're clear.
Wait, what was the selection of meat?
Whoa. Easy now. I think
nobody stopped him.
Meat. Hold on, I have to read the rest of the tweet. Meat Madness is on ice. Instead, Sunday's pay-per-view will feature an all-star scramble match. So I think that the Meat Madness was supposed to be Powerhouse Hobbs, Wardlow, Brian Cage, and somebody else. But now they are a part of the All-Star Scramble, which is supposed to be an 8-man match. But right now, the participants are as follows. It's Chris Jericho, Powerhouse Hobbs, Lance Archer, Wardlow, Hook, and Brian Cage. Out of all of these participants, who do you see winning the Meat Madness and Friends match?
What was the second option? I heard Jericho. I heard Brian Cage. I heard...
So it's Jericho, Powerhouse Hobbs, Lance Archer, Wardlow, Hook, and Brian Cage.
And Powerhouse Hobbs? It seems like the most meatiest one there besides Brian Cage.
I'm going to go with Wardlow. First of all, meatiest one there is crazy. But I'm going to go with Wardlow. It seems like he's been hell-bent on moving up the ranks. So I'm going to go with him. I think he's going to win that match. Next match, Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. Who do we have?
That's going to be really good. I actually like them both. That's hard.
Me too.
I'm going to go with Will Ospreay, even though I wouldn't be mad if Takeshita took it.
I'm going to go with Will Ospreay as well. He just signed with AEW. This is his first match. I'm pretty sure that he's not going to lose. So going from that, we have for the TNT. Now we're getting into our title matches, y'all. So now for the TNT Championship, we have Christian Cage, the champion, versus Daniel Garcia. Who do we have in this match?
Ooh, I was hearing about this too. Christian was getting very disrespectful with Mr. Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like if he don't win, what do you do from here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Christian been holding the belt for a minute. I think they're trying to take Daniel Garcia just a little bit seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and say they might make him champion. Let's go do that. Even though I love me some Christian, let's choose Daniel.
I think I'm gonna go with Christian on this one. I think that they're gonna have Christian hold it, and they're gonna run back him versus Adam Copeland probably at like an all-in or something like that. And that's where Adam's going to take the title off of him. But moving on, we have for the Continental Crown Championship, Eddie Kingston, the champion, versus Bryan Danielson. Who do you have?
I'm always going to ride for my uncle. I'm sorry.
Nah, no apologies here. I'm going to go with Eddie Kingston as well. Next, for what I feel like has been one of the best built up AEW women's title matches in a long time. We have Toni Storm as the champion versus Deonna Purrazzo as the challenger.
For some reason, I would like to think that Toni would keep it and that they would run this back again. But Deonna has came in with a strong presence that I feel like they would just want to give her the belt and then maybe work their way when Mercedes drops in to having Mercedes versus Deonna down the line. That's just my opinion. But what do you think?
I'm going to go with Deonna Purrazzo. I agree with you. She came in with a strong presence to her, a strong aura about her. And like, if you don't give her the title, where does she go from here? Next, for the AEW International Championship, we have Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong.
Two people I don't really care too much about. We're gonna go with we're gonna go with Orange Cassidy.
I'm gonna go with Roderick Strong.
Oh.
I'm gonna go with Roddy. I think they need to make the Undisputed Kingdom feel strong. I feel like we're going to get a Wardlow win and a Roddy win to kind of solidify the faction and to make them look strong. Next is the triple threat match for the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Samoa Joe, the champion, versus Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland.
Ooh, this is going to be good. I don't want to see the belt taken off of Samoa Joe. But I wouldn't be surprised if they finally give it to Swerve.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I actually feel like because Hangman hit Swerve over the back with that crutch, I feel like Swerve is actually going to pin Hangman for the title. That way it keeps Samoa.
He has to be there to eat the pin. There's no way you're going to let Samoa Joe or Swerve take it.
I think that Hangman is going to eat the pin. I think Swerve is going to win it. And next we have the final match of Sting's career, Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Who do we have?
I think it'd be cute if you let Sting and Darby keep it and then they just vacate it and go to a tournament and then name the tournament after them. That'd be so cool.
That'd be so
But
cute.
I just feel like you have to have Sting go out on a high. Although I think he's pretty humble. He wouldn't mind letting the Bucks go over. But it's just that if you're going to have like a final match like this, I personally don't care for a Young Bucks celebration. I want to see... I would personally like to see him have it and then vacate it the next day or vacate it whenever he does it, have his whole retirement speech.
What I feel like is going to happen is I feel like the Young Bucks are going to win this match. I feel like they want to do it because they want to add to their heel heat. And I think that, Sting and Darby can win it and like vacate it, but I feel like Young Bucks, if they win it, it does more for the tag division because whoever goes up against the Young Bucks as a result of it, it's going to make them bigger faces than they used to be. So I think that the Young Bucks are going to win, and that it's just ultimately going to be Sting and Darby just kind of walking out. I feel like Darby, he's not going to walk out on Sting, but I think Sting's going to like hand him a metaphorical baton and just be like, you got it now. And then Sting is just going to walk off. But that's my opinion, and that's our predictions. Let us know in the comments below if you agree or you disagree. But thank you guys so much. That is the end of our show. We got some exciting things coming up. We have an interview coming up. We won't talk about who it is yet, but these things. But we're gonna be releasing that interview very, very soon, and we know you're gonna love it. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.